Hello, beautiful audience, and welcome to Two Goals, a platform inspiring future leadership in football. It's me, Maria Laura,
And I'm Katia.
and today we're bringing the ball closer to home. I feel excited to have a South American guest with us because I do feel that South Americans, we have built something special around football. We have this vast diversity of talented footballers, attractive and joyous styles of playing, and a worldwide recognition for our passion as fans. Katia, what comes to your mind when speaking about South American football?
Well, Maria, South American football takes me back to the football roots. As you know, I have an old soul and I really miss the old football culture. And in South America, you have what football is all about: the passion, the connection, the emotion, the joy, the sense of belonging. It's basically the fiesta and the football arts together in one unique celebration.
Well, I really hope that you can come and visit and win this for yourself. Win this passion and this craziness that we feel while our hometown teams, even the smallest ones like mine, are playing. So, but yeah, that's it. I'm really happy to introduce our guest from today, Lorena Soto. Lorena is a former footballer and futsal player from the Paraguayan National Team, Oro Rovers college team, and of Indiana FC from the Women's Premier Soccer League in the US. While living there, she studied a bachelor degree in international business and an MBA with a focus in finance. And since then, she has worked as the Women's Football Development Manager of CONMEBOL, as the CEO of her own company, EPC Group, and recently as the Entrepreneurial Education Director of the NGO Fundación Paraguay. Lorena, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Katia. Thank you, Maria Laura, for having me. It's an honor.
Thank you, Lorena. And as Maria said, you played football before. So, what does it meant when you started to be a woman footballer in South America, or if you want to specify in Paraguay?
Oof. I think my story is the same for many girls, even today. I mean, I was a child a long time ago. But at that time, it was pretty weird. I mean, I was calling with names, not really nice names. But at that time, I had a big family, and well, I still have. And that is something that I feel blessed about, that I grew up with many cousins and many families came together on the weekends, to be more specific, on Sundays. So my grandma will cook for everyone, and we'll have this huge lunch with everyone. And after nap time, it was religion, all the kids had enough energy to do something, and normally we will ended up playing football with them, and we will play in the streets. And at that time, it was more boys and girls, and I had so much energy. I didn't know how to use it, so I wanted to run. And then pretty soon I realized I could be at the same level that the boys, and I just liked it. I liked the fact that it was a challenging game, with coordination, and they were so passionate about it, like who wins, and I was part of something. My female cousins, they wanted to play house, and I was like, no, not right now.
Something else.
That's too small, too slow. I mean, they're like pretending they have a house and everything, and I just wanted to run. So I have a twin sister, and she will follow, and I felt more comfortable because she was with me. But we normally will be the only two girls playing with the boys, and I just like like you said, Katia and Maria Laura, is like the sense of belonging. You're part of something, and it was so important who won, who scored that day, and they would just keep talking about that. And also I felt that I was good at something. So I wanted to keep improving. I'm really competitive. I was, at least, not anymore. But at that time, I just wanted to be better and better. And every Sunday, I was looking forward to do that with the family. And we will invite the neighbors and everything. Soon after, we didn't have leagues for youth. We didn't have leagues for kids, for girls. We didn't have role models. You never heard. At that time, I never heard of a national team for women's in football. Everybody knew about the men's national team. Everybody will follow. it's pure passion in here, and it's almost as important as religion. So we all knew about that, but I mean, I could never imagine at the time that everything that we're seeing right now would happen. I just wanted to run, and so from there, after that, we had the first time. I went to a Catholic high school, and the girls that were older than us, they fought against the priest that they were part of the school, and they asked them please to have the first female team.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And we had a priest that he was kind of like the head of, I don't even know what was the role, but he was kind of like the boss there, and or the director, I don't know, I was too small to remember, but he was from Spain, and he was in a mission to Paraguay, so he was there at the school, and we also have a church in there, so he will be the priest on the weekends, and he was also living within the perimeter of the school. And because he was from Spain, he said, yeah, why not? I mean, it's only football. It's another sport. Like handball is one game we have.
Thank you, Europe. Thank you, Europe, on supporting that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, there you go. So he's open-minded, like start to push the parents to be okay with it, as long as nobody get hurt or whatever, because it was really something weird, and they would say that it will create things in your body, or you will adopt certain I don't know, it was
Postures, like not very feminine postures,
will
right?
become a
Kind of
man
like that.
if you play football. And it was like, I mean, why? I mean, it's just another sport. But that was the reason why we start the first team, and I was lucky to be in that high school, my sister and I, because we won we play against other schools, and only a few at the beginning had like the women's team. But then soon enough we start winning all we call it intercolegiales, which is a tournament between high schools, and here in the capital. And it was really popular at that time, and we started winning, and we were like the best team, and the girls were really good. And so soon enough there was a club that called the parents, called the school, and say, I want the whole team to become my under 19 team.
Okay.
And as a club. So I remember until today we had this meeting with the parents, and because when I was really, I think I was 14 or 15, I was crying every day for my parents to take me to a club that it was close my house, because I happened to hear that they had a women's team, and I didn't even know that existed, and I wanted to play with girls, not with boys anymore.
Yeah.
And they were mean to me. So girls won't that mean, so it was it was uncomfortable for the guys to be playing with the girls. There was a lot of taboos in that, so I thought maybe that would be more fun to play with girls like me. So I went there with my dad. I remember one time, and the league, the national league here, and I'm talking about 99, 2000, around that time. We didn't have the youth group and the seniors. It was all combined. So someone with 35, 40 years old can be playing easily with someone with 19, 17 and younger. So I was really skinny. I was like I was very skinny, and my sister and I, we went there, and my dad with us, and he was a futsal player himself, and he saw the girls. They were like really older women playing. He was like, no, there's no way.
With a lot of experience.
Yeah, they're gonna break you in the first. I mean, no, you're. And I said, please, please, please. And he said, no. I mean, you can be mad at me, but I'm not gonna let you. You're gonna get injured. And I don't know if he was right or not, but it happened like only 4 or 5 years after that we have this opportunity to play as a team from the school. And that was the only reason why the parents allowed us to play together, because we knew each other, we were friends, and it was a really nice group and a healthy environment. We take care of each other. The parents will always come with us they will bring snacks, and it was really nice. So they say, okay, let's give it a try. We went in the first tournament, the under 19, sorry. That was the first time the APF, which is the Football Federation, had this category for women.
Yeah.
And we won the league. And we were the newbies. We were the Rockies. Nobody knew about us and where we came from. I think the league was on for 2 or 3 years already. And it was a really small group, or a few, 6, 8 teams, no more than that. So here we come. They're this team from a high school, and we won. So the next year, they did this because it was also the first South American tournament for under 19, which it was also the first World Cup under 19 in Thailand.
Okay.
And then they moved it to under 20s. But it was kind of like a pilot program or a World Cup to see how that went. And so we were called to the national team, and the whole team was actually. That was another reason why we were like, our parents are, okay, if you're together, that's fine. But that was just amazing. And that's when I realized that we needed, I mean, we didn't have any kind of support at that time, and it's understandable. It was something so new, but at the same time, it was just a lucky time where a group of girls with this raw talent got together, and we were the same age, and we went to the final against Marta, Cristiane, and everyone. We were the same age.
Wow.
And we lost. Of course, we lost against them in Brazil. But for all the first half on the final, we even beat for the first time officially to Argentina. Argentina, even with the men, we never really beat Argentina in an official game. So that was when we started to be on the newspaper. And so I guess we start to have more support, a little bit more. Like, people will come to the games, and besides our families. And so we went to Brazil for the last stage, and we went to the finals, and Brazil beat us. The first half, we were 2-2, and Brazil was beating everyone like 7-0, 9-0, 11-1. And we were 2-2, so everybody were like, what is going on? What is this team? So at the end, we lost that game. And even with a tie, we wouldn't be able to go because it was only one spot for the World Cup. And Brazil had all these goals. We only beat 1-0, 2-0. And if with a tie, we wouldn't be able to go. So it was either win or die. So we tried, but physically we were not. I mean, the second half, you can tell the difference, and we fought hard, but we couldn't make it. So yeah,
So
I think that's
since
the whole story of my life, I guess.
no, but actually, now that you just mentioned these great anecdotes about Paraguayan football and your experience, let's do this a bit differently as we were supposed to, in a way, with Katia. But tell us now, what do you feel about Paraguayan football right now for women's football? Because I mean, you're mentioning something really interesting that I didn't know as at South America, which is like you had a really good team back then. I mean, you were the only one, you reached the final, and you were the only one kind of like beating the other teams, and you were the surprise of that. What happened? I mean, from then till today, what's going on in Paraguayan football right now, women's football?
Well, that's a really good question. How long do we have? I mean, that's
Feel free.
I'm just kidding. I want to make it short. The thing is, from that experience, we can say, I mean, if we want to be really honest with ourselves, it was even lucky for us to get that far. I mean, we were just a group of girls that happened to be together, and they were in every line of the team. We have someone that was really talented, but it was a natural thing. Nobody really developed that talent they have.
Mm-hmm.
And we just happened to be one generation of players. And then we had another one after 4 years two generations passed, and then we had another one that went to the first World Cup in under 17 in New Zealand, and we have, and I think other countries in South America have the same. I mean, we got generations of players, and sometimes we get lucky and they
Yeah.
have the same age, and they go and they make history, but we never really had this support behind, or this process.
Mm-hmm.
So even for us, after we went that far, we were on the news. It was super hard for women's football to be in the news, but we were, and it was kind of like a glimpse of, okay, this is good. Let's applaud the girls. But then it stopped. Once we didn't make it to the World Cup, nothing happens after that. Like, we have all these young girls with a lot of future and a lot of talent, but nothing really changed that much in investing in a process, or investing even in developing what they already have, and they proven to have on a good level. But it's still raw, because we didn't have a coach that taught us how to the basic, the tactics. It was just natural. We just maybe learned to play in the streets, like it was my case, and that was it. I mean, we were just putting that experience into a big field, and we happened to be lucky, or I don't know. So that to answer that question is, like, when I see right now what women's football is in Paraguay, sometimes I kind of feel that way, that we still haven't find the right process to support this natural talent that we see everywhere. Some other countries in South America, they already started, or they kind of like have a pathway. But in Paraguay, it changes. Sometimes it feels like we're in the right way. Sometimes, and it's just taking slow steps forward. And sometimes I feel like, okay, we're going to step one again. We need to. So it's.
So you will say, sorry, you kind of like, you're mentioning something which is like a common feature in South America, which is the problem of building long-term plans, or actually determine some goals and try to achieve them.
So, excuse me, what?
Sorry, just to try and set some goals, like a strategic plan, and try to achieve them.
Yes, exactly. But that's not only for women's football. If you see now the COVID, the pandemic we have, it kind of like showed us like how we don't even have midterm plans with the men's league or the men's game. And of course, we're not going to have it, or we only starting the women's side, and not even long-term, midterm plans. For every 2 years, or every 4 years is a lot of time. I mean, if you're not used to plan for the future, maybe it's too challenging to do a cycle of 4 years from one World Cup to the other one. But even for 2 years, or even like the next year, we don't have that culture, I think, and we really need it. And so sometimes I see it in some countries, and they start it, and they kind of have the right idea, but for some reason stops, like what happened in Colombia. They had a professional league, and it was like a lot of emotion, exciting at the beginning, very positive environment for everyone, and then the challenges starts, and it's kind of like they stop, or they don't continue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's only for women's. I think it happens a lot in the football industry in South America. That's something that we can probably learn from big like Europe or the US.
It depends. It depends. It depends the country. Yeah. I agree.
But I can understand. Like I understand how hard it is to commit to a midterm if the fundings are always a challenge. I understand that. So you really need these people that make the decision makers to be committed to the cause, despite the results at the beginning, because it's, of course, there's not going to be immediate results. If it's
It's a
immediate,
process,
Yeah.
yeah.
so that's the challenge always.
Yeah, that's why we have strategic plans. And now, for example, in women's football, talking about Europe, I think it was last year, the first strategic plan from UEFA was launched only last year. So we are in the beginning of the process of this whole construction of this product of women's football. And we were talking also about Paraguay. Can you give us some idea of what it is now in Paraguay about women's football, if there is an established league, if there's some professional clubs or some professional players?
Yeah, we don't have professional players. We will have something that it's maybe we can call it semi-pro. It's not, the league is not professional. Some teams they support the players with little salaries, but they are salaries at the end of the day, and they can it's, but the league is not professional right now because the COVID-19, the APF, they decided to cancel all leagues until January 2021. And this is really going in hand with the government. The thing is, we're not, as a third world country, we're not ready if the COVID goes really up high and the people getting infected, because our health system is not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided health is first. We don't want to expose, and I can understand that. The thing is just it's hard for the players. Every league that is amateur, considered amateur, it's going to be suspended. Even youth men, the boys, are all suspended until the end of the year. And only because they have agreements with TV and everything, the professional league will resume. They will restart again next month. So that was a decision they make at the beginning, like a month ago or 2 months ago. 2 months ago, and again, the explanation is that it's really not the intention of the federation to expose anyone, because I mean, it's a way to get infected. I know that is not the only country in South America that have decided that, but for the women's league, I mean. But I know there's still like conversations between the federation and the girls. We have the seniors league and then the under 20 league. So it's the seniors, and they are trying to get to an agreement with the federation to maybe play at the end of the year or something like that. I don't know what's going to happen, but for now, we don't have a league until next year.
Well, so I'm curious. Let's try and move into another experiences in your profile that I've checked. You had the chance to went to the U.S. and study there and play some soccer there. So I'm curious about what kind of common features did you find there between the development of women's football, and also some difference as well between Paraguay and the U.S.
Okay, so the way to summarize that in a little story I normally tell is, in Paraguay, I would say, because I was really proud to play football, and so it was really my sport. I love it. I'm still a big fan, and I will always be a big fan of the game. So I would say I'm a footballer in Paraguay, and people would look at me and say, "Ew, what?" I'm talking about 10, 15 years ago. So because that's the time when I went to the States, and I went there and I was kind of like shy, I know how Americans are they're not too nice or colder. And South Americans, I was, yeah, I play soccer. And they were like, wow, really? And I was like, what's going on in here? Like I was treated like I was a superstar just to play Division I college. And I had the number 10, and I was even a captain, like right soon after I went there. And people, I would sign autograph, and I was like, what? What is going on? So the kids from the schools around, like I'm talking 7, 8, 10 years old, they will come to our games. So the parents will bring them because it's really for women. I mean, soccer, it's for women. So they will look up to us like, one day you're going to be in this school or someone around the country playing college division. And at the end of the game, they will come to us and with our posters, with our pictures made by the school, and we have to sign autographs. Like, I was like, what? Wow, I never thought it was happened in my lifetime. I mean, maybe the next generation, but yeah. So that was incredible. And even I was part of the national team since I was 18 until I went to the States, and even then they will call me up to the futsal national team, or once I was on vacations in Paraguay, if it was at the same time of a tournament, they will call me in, because we didn't have a process. It's not like we were doing camps or everything. They would just call us the best players of the league 2 or 3 months before a tournament, and that will be the national team. So I was getting called even when I was in the US, and I was playing futsal. I was playing 11-a-side. In other words, I was like at the top of the pyramid in the elite, supposedly, because I was part of the national team, supposed to be the best players in the country. And I say supposed because to be fair, our club was only capital and the cities near the capital, and there was so much talent that we never saw even in the cities that were far away from the capital. But because we didn't have a national league, the national team will normally be from the capital and cities nearby. And so saying that, I was part of like the most elite team in Paraguay, but still it was nothing compared to the US. We will fly to our games over the weekend. We will stay in 3-4 star hotels. We will have gears, as many as we want. We will have I don't know, coats with our logo. We will have, it was so different. I mean, it was the first time I felt I was a professional, but it was only a college. And so it was when I went there, my sister and I, we went together, and we were the first Paraguayans to ever get a full ride through soccer or football. And it humbled me to the point that I knew I wasn't the best in the country, and I had teammates that were so good, and maybe they didn't have an opportunity to
study abroad and
study in a good high school or a bilingual high school, or even to finish the school. And that's the reason why we started the program that you mentioned, that I'm the CEO. It's a company that provides this opportunity to other athletes that want to, through scholarships, to go to the US and use their talent to study abroad.
That is really amazing. Actually, I keep thinking that that's one of the main opportunities that are there, because I keep thinking that there are many footballers in South America that are not aware of these opportunities. I mean, of course, what you mentioned is important because of the bilingual barrier. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have the access to study English, how will you be able to see yourself studying a career in the US? But at the same time, I am aware that they don't even know that there is a possibility of gaining a scholarship for playing football. So,
and let me say that this happens also in England. I was in England doing my internship, and many players over there, they aim to study abroad in the USA. And I was surprised by that, because when you look now at England, you can see a future for them. But no, they want to go abroad, go to the USA to get some education and to play there in college. And as you said very well, Lorena, you were only in college and you are getting so much attention. So maybe it's because of that they want to go abroad.
Yeah. The games were filmed. We had fans. We got all the show that Americans know how to put up when there's a college game. We had all these. I even got my surgery over there, my ACL, my knee, and they took care of everything. It was part of my scholarship. If if I happen to have injured during the game, which it was what happened, they cover completely. I'm still playing, even though now it's just for fun. But I went after that. I play in FC Indiana. I play professionally in Russia. I went to Barcelona for a bit, and I become a professional because of my knee was working. It was good. And even another Paraguayan, my mom was really sad when that happened because she knew how much and it also happened the first year I got in the States. So my mom was also worried that we would lose the scholarship and go back to Paraguay without finishing the school, because we didn't know how it worked. I mean, I felt guilty to have an injury, but it happened right there in the middle of the game. So my coach was saying like, no, don't worry, you're gonna be back for next season. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back home. My sister and I will be crying like we're gonna be separated. You're gonna continue. You're gonna be home. But I mean, we didn't know. And the Paraguayan guy from the men's team, he called my mom and said, don't worry. I mean, you have to be happy that this is happening to her here in the U.S. because they are gonna take care of her. Instead of happening in Paraguay, because probably she will be done in Paraguay. She will be done if this happened in Paraguay, because that's true. My parents would not be able to. My parents are from working class. I mean, we were 5 siblings and a big family. There were no way that in that situation, financial situation at that time, that my parents can afford to for me to get a knee surgery. So it would probably be but the end of my career if that happened over there to me. I mean, over here in Paraguay. So yep. So even that, I mean, it just completely blew my mind, and what I experienced in the U.S. and my sister too, and that's how I become morally responsible to do something in South America, in Paraguay, in South America. And when I got the opportunity in CONMEBOL, I was like, this is the chance. I need to do something for everyone else because I know how hard it is. I tried.
No, but actually that's amazing. I mean, I think having these experiences abroad and try and compare realities, this is really important for someone who then was in charge of women's football development. I mean, I really want you to tell us a bit about how these experiences help you to try and understand what your role was, or what wanted you to achieve with the role in CONMEBOL.
Okay, so that was something that I would never expected to happen. I never knew that I could be working for South America. I only wanted to work for Paraguay and my teammates. Actually, it all started with that, and so now I have this opportunity. I'm from Paraguay. It's a small country in South America. I'm not Brazilian. I'm not Argentine. And that Colombia even is I think is the third biggest country, and I'm here from a small country, and I have to think about the whole region. And at the beginning, it really was emotionally, it was huge for me. I gotta say that I even had doubts about what can I really do, because it was only one person that they hired for the entire development
Wow.
of the region. And so something really good that happened to me is my first week of working for CONMEBOL, I got invited to the World Cup in Canada. So immediately I started knowing all these people from all around the world with stories like me, not like the life stories, but the environment like me, that the development in countries are really hard or tough, or there are a lot of limitations. So I started just talking to everyone. They were the same, as passionate as I was. So I immediately find a place and a network that really support me. Even someone that I have a lot of appreciation for and respect for, my counterpart in Europe. um, the person that had my same role, but for UEFA, she immediately started helping me, like say, don't worry. I mean, they never expect, that's what they told me. They never expect to help someone, a woman that used to play and even had an education, a higher education, to be in charge. Because they normally they first they won't have anyone, and it will be just someone invited to assist and to be part of the events they have, the workshops, they have networking between all the continents. So they were really happy that I had this knowledge about how it is for the women here. What are the limitations? I was part of the national team, so I knew how it is for other national teams too. And I immediately have this support from everyone, and I felt like I was not alone anymore. So that was so important, because that came from FIFA and from all the members that were doing the same. And then we have these workshops, and I was like so ready to get all the information I could. It was, I mean, I never pay attention to anything that much. I study about it. I read so many articles about everything. UEFA is really good at doing studies in the region, and sometimes I will see the bigger countries or the one that are more developed in compared to the smaller countries in Europe. I mean, I was doing and I was trying to get all this information to the reality in South America. And I really like when something challenged me to be strategic. I love it. I just love it. So I took it like that, as a challenge to come up with a strategy that really works for us, even though nothing happened before that for the girls. And it was the first time CONMEBOL was it was, investing in someone. And also I learned very soon that you have to, you you can be passionate about it, like as a footballer, and I know all the needs that we have, but you also have to pace yourself, because then you are part of the organization, but you're not a footballer anymore, and it has to be I learned that how to try to move forward, but not so fast that people get uncomfortable. So it has to be in a way that is thinking, like you said, in a midterm strategy, but you have to take it. I mean, it was so new for everyone that someone was offering strategies about women's football or anything. So it was very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it was an honor for me to be able to having these ideas about strategies, or and like I normally would say in the meetings, because then I was the only woman talking to normally all men
Yeah.
about women's football. And that's another challenge.
Yeah.
Very, very big challenge. And so it was really, really hard. Maybe people don't understand that from outside the organizations. Normally it takes time, but it is possible. It just sometimes takes a little longer. So anyway, I got all this support, and normally in the meetings with all the men from other federations, I would say nothing in Spanish. It's we don't have to invent the wheel again.
Yeah.
It's already, someone already done it. You just have to know what is the stage 1, what is step 2, 3, and 4, and then just be honest about what are our limitations in the region and try to adapt to our reality. But we all need to be together, or otherwise it's not gonna work.
And it's good to mention that you're talking about the role you performed some years ago. So this is not the actual panorama, because now we have a momentum of women's football. Women's football is entering the conversation, and I think 2-3 years ago it was not the same. It was evolving, but it was different. But,
Yes.
as a women's football development manager, can you tell us what kind of tasks did you perform, and where were there any specific goals that you set when you entered this job?
I was kind of like in the middle of the tournaments that we have, and also come up with strategies to how to. We have this funding that comes from FIFA and is for development specifically. And at that time, FIFA got a list of things that we can invest in, and and the thing, for instance, I don't know if you heard of grassroots programs. So in development, the thing, okay, so the way I learned very soon at CONMEBOL is that normally when you talk about development, even though your national team needs development, the national team should be the top of the pyramid. I mean, you have to do so many things at the grassroots level in order for your national team to get the positive results.
Right.
But normally, because we are already behind in the national team in South America in comparison to other teams in the world, we normally invest in the national team. So we don't have competitions where the difference is too big. But in essence, development is putting the investment in the grassroots level. So that is the kids, that is the youth, the visibility of the game, that is the talking to the parents about the goods of the game for the girls, talking about how can really help the game for the girl, not because they're going to be the part of the national team, just because at a grassroots level, they get with fun, and they get all these positive things from the game, and then they become part of the pyramid, and it's more a massive thing. It's for everyone. It's to be inclusive. So the national team will be only the best out of all these girls. Just the best goes there, and it's a process, you know. So I thought about I initiate the under 16. Maybe you heard about Maria Laura and the under 16 and under 14 development program. It's called it's a development program. We never really had it for under 14 before, or under 16, and because we don't have World Cups for that age, what we did is we started leagues in every country with those two groups, the age group. The champion or the best team will come to Asunción, to CONMEBOL, to play representing their country, and that best team representing the country or a club or just a name, because that was the other limitation, is that we don't have clubs with girls that age. And they will say, I don't have the clubs will say, I don't have the girls. I mean, how can I compete in a development program if I don't have the girls that are under 14 or under 16? So what we did is we opened up, with the support of FIFA, we opened up to any team that came together as a team with a coach, and they can be part of a high school, they can be part of a church team,
maybe neighborhoods,
neighborhoods, group of friends together, but they have to have the something very close to the official. What's the name of? We call it ficha. But because they were not clubs, that was a challenge. How we're gonna make an official ficha if they were not part of clubs? So we kind of like asked the same information. It was developmental ficha, or all the information from the player. And once the idea was, once they play this, they get excited about it. They play with their friends. They play in a safe environment. Then they are invited by the clubs to be part of the club. So now this information it goes to the official ficha, and now you're part of officially from your federation and CONMEBOL. So that was a little bit of the way we did that, because that was the main issue there. But we found a solution, and because it was a developmental program, we could do that because it was an inclusive program. So after we have a winner, it was through stages. First, you do it in your country. Your federation will promote this they will invite neighborhoods, they will invite everyone that they wanted to get organized and participate. Then you're going to have the best team in your country. They will represent your country, but they will not be the national team. That was another thing. It was kind of like really challenging because the coaches, the head coaches say, hey, I'm the coach. I mean, you're saying this is the national team. No, no, no. It's not the national team. It's Club Millonarios from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
But you are representing Colombia as the best youth 14 team.
Yeah.
And then all the champions will come to Asunción and play all the countries, and the first, second, and third will go to Disney Cup. And this is because we didn't have World Cup to go. So the motivation was, okay, everybody wants to go when they're to Disney.
To Disney, right?
Yeah.
And they have a competition over there. So it's about playing, yes, but also having so much fun. So that was a little bit of the way that we teach their parents and the kids that, yes, you can have fun with football. I mean, you can know the world and you can do all these fun things besides only playing. So we wanted to create this sense of belonging, or they become fans of the game. And they hopefully the idea was for them to keep playing until they are part of a club and until they're part of the national team. And it was a little bit of a glimpse of what it is to be part of your national team. Is you do that and you don't go to Disney, but you go to World Cups. Is even more fun. I think.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I mean, it was a good way to attract them to try and see how it feels to go outside it while playing football, to try and, I mean, because for most of these kids, I'm sure, and this is not only, again, it's not only for the case for women, it's also the case for men. It's just the thing that at times you don't even get to go outside the country because you
Yeah.
don't have the chance, you don't have the money, you don't have the resources. So I think this was really interesting and a clever way to go around.
And CONMEBOL even take it in a really serious way when we put this group of youth and really young boys and girls, because we also added the under 13 men into this process, and we call like la fiesta of the youth, the jóvenes. It was la fiesta del fútbol, and it was
Yes.
a big party for youth, and they will go there, they play, yes, they are competitive, but they are also having like concerts, and it was a huge party. And so even before going to Disney, you had this experience, and then I know, because you know how it is to compete in an international level. I'm pretty sure that's when you separate the people that are gonna get committed to be better and better to be part of the national team, and the other one that don't they are not that committed, they're still gonna be fans of the game. So it's a win-win. You can really find like what I mentioned before. Once we have in Paraguay the under 14 and under 16, the under 16, the idea was for the head coach of the national team a help for them to recruit teams from everywhere. And because they are not clubs, they're probably neighborhoods or a team from a neighborhood. For instance, let me give you an example, because I know that happened with different countries, but in Paraguay it really got me emotional. I cried, but I was cried of happiness. The best team was a girls from Indian community, Native American community, not American, Native. So it's an indigenous community in really far away from the capital. And they were so good. They were so good. They beat everyone. And it was a whole experience for them to just come to the capital of Paraguay. They never been to the capital.
Wow.
So
That is
they
incredible.
came here and they beat everyone. Also, they got into second position, and they went to Disney. So they came and they were like, wow, this was the experience of my life. What's next? So they got called for the national team, and they were the U14, but they got called for the U17. And we got right now in the under 17, we got 10 girls that are part of the developmental league, that it only started like, okay, let's have fun and come on, girls, you can play. If you want to play, play. So now we have a national team that it's from Asuncion, from cities near Asuncion, but also from cities in interior. It's far away from Asuncion, and that's what's supposed to be. Like every country has to be able to somehow recruit the best players from all around the country. And my country is a small country. I mean, can you imagine Brazil?
Yeah, exactly. Huge. So, Lorena, during your time at CONMEBOL, more specifically 2016, CONMEBOL settled a rule that can change the South American women's football panorama for the better, announcing that the clubs participating in the CONMEBOL competitions should have a women's team and a juvenile team. And here, the word "hand" has a lot of impact, because you're not only we are not only talking about the numbers of having an adult women's team, but also a development program and a grassroots program, as you talked about. So, and this was also part of a strategic plan, because, as we know, the CONMEBOL settled the rule in 2016, gave 2 years of adaptability to the clubs, and the rule was established only last year, 2019. So can you please share some ideas behind this rule? What you thought about? What was the purpose of it? Can you tell us something about it?
Yeah, that was a milestone for women's football, because that was a way we were pushing because it was an obligations for clubs that were part of the Copa Libertadores or Copa Libertadores and Copa Sudamericana. If the clubs are part of the tournament, if they qualify to it, they were obligated to have a women's team. And that was a milestone. And a little bit of this under 14 and under 16 league, the developmental league that I mentioned about, was because the first thing, the reaction that we have from the clubs was like, but I don't have girls. I mean, girls don't want to be, I mean, where do I find the girls? It's tough. I mean, I don't know any girl that have, that want to play. And the clubs will say, you can't, I mean, I can't find the girls. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll find it for you. So a little bit of that, it was because it was 2 years, like you said, in advance. I'll give you 2 years for you to find these girls and have the teams. And that was amazing. That was really something that I applaud, and it was really good. It's always a challenge. It always, I mean, the ideal was to everybody just start with it, and we have this league, and the league gets benefited by this. But of course, in reality, there are some countries will do a better job, and some other countries will just do the minimum effort. So in that sense, a little bit of this developmental league that I mentioned about was to use this decision from CONMEBOL down to all the federations as an opportunity to really create these teams and this space for the girls to be part of a team. So maybe today in the developmental league, the idea was I am playing for my school, or I am playing for my church team, but tomorrow I can be part of São Paulo team.
Yeah.
I get recruited if they see me, because I'm in the same city where they are.
Yes.
So that was a little bit of the idea when we start this and open up to everyone. It's just to be inclusive, just to find the talent that we know is there, but because they don't come to the club, let's make the club go to the girls.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of the idea. And now, just to give you a few numbers, because this was like a few years ago, I remember I was really shocked to see we only have 19,900. It was close to 20,000 girls in total in the entire region. In all 10 countries, we only will have 20,000 girls registered officially for clubs. And that will be including me, that I was probably not playing anymore, including Colombia. I think they had the oldest player registered. I remember seeing they were born in the 70s, so they were 40 something already,
Incredible.
and they were still part of the official um, list.
Like
List.
that database kind of,
Yeah.
okay.
So because at one point they were registered to a club, and the system didn't have the function to just, if you're not active for 2 years, they will take you out of the list. So this is all the girls at one point they had they were part of a club, and with only two categories, 14 and 16, um, we had three times more. So it was close to 60, almost 70,000 girls new. I mean, and the hope was, okay, these are not official,
Yeah.
but once they're part of a club, they're going to be part of the whole um, ecosystem of players that are registered right now. So that was incredible to me, that only adding two categories, we could include under 12, under 10, under 8,
Yeah.
inviting the schools to the schools to have the teams from girls that are 8, 9, and 10, and so on. And we had three times more than we never had before. I don't know what's the number right now, but I'm pretty sure it's getting much more than that, because it come to a point that it was really cool to be part of the developmental league. So every year, the more teams wanted to be part of it.
It is interesting that you mentioned the information part, the lack of information at times to have like accurate data of what is going on with football in each of our countries, because we have discussed this before. There is like an opportunity there to try and improve this data to actually discover business opportunities
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
women's football to be attractive.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
so I wanted to touch upon something which is from your point of view right now. Like we celebrate and we're proud of entrepreneurship, and you are an entrepreneur. You are your own CEO. You have your own company because you found an opportunity for business here. So what kind of other opportunities do you see right now in women's football? Like what should people take into account to try and take the most of the industry in this momentum that Katia just mentioned?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, Marilara, because the whole research that I'm telling you about, it really happened like 3 or 4 years ago. But I remember so clearly, because when I have these meetings, it's kind of like we have to prove why investing, and stop calling a cost. It was not a cost, it was an investment. You have to prove it. And especially, I kind of like felt really responsible, because I studied finance, and I would say, okay, let's put the emotions aside. Let's take it as an investment. Can I explain you why it's an investment? Why it's gonna give you a return in the midterm or in the long term? And that's the difference between an investment and a cost. A cost is you put the money in and you never get a return. That's a cost. An investment is you put the money in and you expect a return in the future. And if you take this point of view, then you have to create this strategy that is really an investment for women's football. And it's a challenge, because never happened to me before that when I talk to someone that has been for so long in the women's game, someone comes and say, okay, let's invest now. Why? It's been a cost for me all these years. Why it's going to be an investment now?
Mhm.
And it's exactly what you said. I mean, and there is a momentum right now that if we do the right decision, and if we really plan ahead, and we are really smart with how we allocate the funding, it can really be an investment. It can be an investment because we can see progressively how there is a market that we couldn't see it before for women's football. And the other taboo that I think that it's really important for companies and even federations to see is that it's not going to be one thing on another, or another. It's not like it's women's football is going to come to replace men's football. It would never happen. I mean, it will never happen. That's not going to happen. It will be two products that you're going to be offering to maybe two different markets, or to the same market that is one day they want to watch this and one day they want to watch this. I mean, it's not going to be, it's not going to replace one thing to the other one. It's going to make the chart bigger. And so that was another thing that you say, no, but sometimes they will be scared about one thing replacing the other, or they will compare things. I remember one time being in Brazil, and I got this really good question from a former player of the national team. And that's when I realized that even from our organization out, I mean, I was part of CONMEBOL at the time, we were not clear about the stage that we are right now. And I think that we have to educate companies, investors, even players, and federations. Where is women's football right now in the life cycle of a product, to call it one way, you know? And right now in South America, we are at a really early stage. We are, it's a newborn, and we are comparing this newborn to this kid that is already in college, and they all this, and you're comparing a baby to
Even older, I think.
older. They're almost done with college. There's no point in comparing two things because they're so different stages. But we can learn a lot from what happened already and try to be strategic. And most importantly, we have to find the right market where women's football will be interesting. It's kind of like in South America, it's not other girls consuming women's football. What about other men also liking women's football? I mean,
Exactly.
we have to really find what's the market for South America. And for that, you need to do a research.
Yeah.
It's not like I think is, no, you have to really search and do all these studies in the market. And that's when you know what's the market that you want to go to, that's when you have to invite these companies that are stakeholders of this this market or this industry. So
Exactly. Data is today is an asset of football, and in women's football even more, because we need that to grow the game, and if we don't have, it's almost impossible to, as you said, you have to know your market to build your product. So we need to do that. Moving to your current position, as Maria already mentioned, you have a company, but you also work in the solidarity part. You are working for the NGO Fundación Paraguaya, who is focused on tackling poverty through innovation. What do you exactly do there?
Oh man, the two passions of my life are football and social work. I really love what I'm doing there. I specifically, I'm in charge, I'm the head of the Department of Entrepreneurial Education for vulnerable, it's hard in English to say that, vulnerable families in Paraguay. And we are also a benchmark in other countries because the Fundación Paraguaya has hubs, what we call, it's kind of a benchmark of what we do in 82 countries. And we have allies everywhere. So what we do here, we do in other countries as well. And the idea and the reason why the NGO was formed 35 years ago was because it's to stop poverty. And we have all these, it's a challenge, it's a big challenge that we have. But we believe that if you provide, in my case, I'm in charge of the education and how you educate a vulnerable family to with entrepreneurial activities, they can get out of poverty. But there are other areas also that the NGO works with every family, and our mojo is we help one family at a time. So I work with about 150,000 young people in Paraguay, and we got 19 different programs that is about entrepreneurial activities and how we educate the young people and the adults normally the adults don't have, they haven't finished school or something, so so how we educate them to get out of poverty with being entrepreneurs.
Lorena, thank you so much. I mean, we have had so much fun speaking with
Yeah.
you, but well, right now, you know, the time is limited, so we like closing our episodes with like a really high note, like a really positive note, and I like that you're always proposing. I like this idea of you just staying positive and finding opportunities,
Yeah.
and we really want to tell the audience your stories, but also we want you, I mean, you as a guest, we want you to give an advice for them. I mean, if they want to pursue a career in football, they want to follow their dreams to go into this lovely industry, could you please give them some insights on what should they do or what should they take into account maybe?
Well, that's uh, I like the opportunities. First of all, I want to thank you, girls, to for giving me this space and talk about my life and all my story. I appreciate that very much. And for all the girls out there and young girls are a fan of the game like we are, and they would like to work in the industry, I will motivate you guys to keep trying. It's going to be hard like any other industry. Every industry has their own challenges and but also rewards. And I always say if you ended up working in something that you're passionate about and that you love what you're doing, or you love the industry that you're in, it's not a work. It's not a job. You just enjoy every day. And if you have this dream, or if you are aiming for that, educate yourself, get education, a higher education, and be ready to. There are many opportunities everywhere right now, way more than it was before when I was starting in the industry. Um, Resilience is a good word for this industry. Be patient also, but more importantly, never stop giving your best. I mean, if you love the game and you want to be part of the industry, the added value that anyone can give is this passion about the game and try to be better all the time. Not only for the job, but also for the life. You know, the better you are yourself, it will affect every aspect of your life. And be happy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. Keep trying.
Thank you, Lorena. As Maria said, it was an amazing episode. We had so much fun. And we reached the final of one more amazing episode. As I said, subscribe our podcast on Spotify or other podcast platforms, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram with the name 2 Goals Podcast. Thank you for listening to us, and stay tuned.